Yep, so I'd like to call this meeting of the Oregon Public Library Board to order. May I have a roll call, please, Laura?
Sure. Stata.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Goffman.
Here.
Bergstrom.
Here.
Botsenfield.
Here.
And Besham. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I will make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Any community input this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to our, and no public appearances. So we'll move on to consent agenda, 6A, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting unless there are any amendments anyone would like to offer.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions?
Just that I will abstain since I was not there.
Thank you. So all in favor of approving the minutes from our meeting in January?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. And now we can move on to review and payment of available bills and accepting the financial reports. Is there a motion to do so?
I will make that motion.
Thank you. Is second?
Second.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to point out to us this evening, Jennifer?
Just that there's a few straggler bills from 2025, as is always the case at the end of the year. There are also a couple expenses that are one-time expense for the whole year, so you'll see those, what was it say, 2026, you know, and then the descriptions, you know, that's kind of a payment that's made for the whole year. Those tend to be larger amounts, so just want to point that out. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? No? Okay. So all in favor of review and payment of available bills and accepting the financial reports, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, everybody. We are flying along. Moving on to 7A, the 2025 annual statistics highlight.
So this is very similar to the information you saw in the annual report that we'll talk about later, but it's just a little bit more of an easily digestible format that kind of highlights some of the numbers that we have. So I'm just going to kind of talk through this, and I'm not going to talk through the other document as much, but you can certainly ask questions. Our library visits were very strong. They're a little bit shy of what they were last year with the presidential election and the grand opening, but they're still very strong and significantly higher than they were in 2023. So we hope that we'll see that continue to rise. We still have lots of new library cards, but that number also went down over what we saw in 2025 because so many people have already gotten library cards when they're visiting or here trying us again. For collection, we have over 62,000 books in our collection, and then in addition to what we own here, of course, people can get books from any other library in our 7-county system, which is wonderful. And we have 18,600 other items, including movies, music, and untraditional things like cake pans, video games, etc. So it's a pretty strong collection, over 80,000 items available to our community members, plus the many, many more that they can get from outside in our system as well. Our checkouts were just over 230,000 for this year. Again, very strong, significant increase over 2023. It's slightly down from 2024. Again, items returned very high, and items on our hold shelf. Lots of things that patrons at our library are also getting from other libraries, either because we don't own it or because there might be a wait list on the popular titles. Our computer usage did go up 12% over 2024, so that's great to see that continue to grow. And then study rooms and meeting room use, we talked about this last month, but our study rooms were used over 3,800 times, which is great. We have a 3-hour limit on that, so that's just a wonderful, wonderful use, 33% increase over 2024. And then the 2 meeting rooms that are reservable, that's this room and the community room, were used 393 times. So that's, again, a 30% increase from the previous year. And we again, hope both of those numbers will continue to grow as people discover them. This does not include uses of any of those spaces for library programs or library staff meetings or things like fixing the HVAC in a room where we might have to block it off. So there were additional times that those rooms could have been used, but they may not have been available to the public because of in-library needs. The other important part is we have some digital content, so lots of checkouts. Lots of people are also using the library digitally from at home and watching, reading ebooks, listening to ebooks, or using the e-video available through Overdrive or Libby or the Canopy database. So those are nice to know about. Printing and faxing are something we haven't really tracked that much before. They're not in the annual report, but it's something that our staff spend a lot of time assisting the public with. People that need access to faxing, that need computer assistance, don't have printers at home. As more people have mobile devices, a lot fewer people have printers at home. So we had just under 8,000 pages printed through our Wi-Fi printing service, where people can send a print job from their phone or their device at home, or in the library by email, or by uploading it through the web page, and then they can pick it up here. We had 124 faxes sent last year. That was the first year we offered faxing. I think we only offered it for a partial year, so we're excited to see that continue to grow. And then our reference questions were still strong last year, a little slightly lower than the previous year. But still more than 10,000 questions where people ask not just a directional question like where's the bathroom or something like that, but questions where it requires staff expertise and research to locate that answer for those folks. The other thing that's really fun to see is the program attendance. We had 849 programs that the library hosted in 2025. That's a significant increase over 2024. Which is wonderful. Our program attendance was over 18,000, almost 19,000 people attending those programs. So our staff does their best to count every time we have a program, which is a very difficult job sometimes to do.
Kids.
Yeah. And then also we notarize, notary service is something that we see an increased demand for. We get a lot of people on nights and weekends, especially when other traditional notary services aren't available. Like a Friday night I was working at 2 people want a notary between 4 and 6. So we had over 239 documents that we notarized for members of the public. So that's a great service, and that number is up almost 70% from the year before. So that's a new service. Now all the majority of the staff that works at the adult services desk are notaries, so we have a notary on that desk at almost all times. Those are the statistics. I'm happy to answer any questions, but those are just kind of pulling some of the numbers from the report you'll see later on.
This is amazing. And thank you to everyone who contributes to these ridiculously large numbers that we see in here. I mean, over 18,000 people came to programming. That is just, it melts my heart. It makes me so happy.
I like that the number of holds is higher than the number of things in our collection. Like essentially we could have touched every single thing in the library. Love that.
And the facilities available for the programming, amazing. So it's state of the art with the support of the staff. It's crazy. It's just crazy how well everything is so professional. And the opportunity to do printing and faxing here, and in color stuff too, by the way, just so you know. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Any other comments? All right. Thanks, everybody. Moving on to the library director's report.
We have our first resignation from a circulation library assistant position, any position that was more than 20 hours a week since we moved into the new building. So we're excited for Monica to move on to her new opportunity, but we're sad she won't be with us anymore. So our staff has been working very hard to try to figure out how we can be creative in covering the desk needs that creates until we can hire that position. We are also ecstatic that we had a staff member that was on medical leave in January and they are back to work, so we're happy to have them back. Our team members are working on their annual performance evaluation and feedback process. So they've completed self-evaluations and are working to meet with their supervisors the next 4 to 6 weeks, I would say approximately. The Friends of the Library at their January meeting approved their annual donation. Each year they do a very generous donation that basically supports the majority, if not all, of our programming depending on the year. And this year they had the largest donation they've had while I've been here. So they had just under $12,000 that they're donating to the library for programming. If we don't use it all this year, we would be able to carry it over for future programming in case the amount in the future isn't quite that generous. But we really appreciate all their work, so thank them if you see them. We have spent a little bit of time talking about donor recognition for annual donations. So we've implemented some new recognition for 2025 and then also for 2024, just to make sure all folks that donated since we moved to this building are recognized in the same way. For the number of years prior to that, most of the donations, but not all, went to the capital campaign, so that kind of had its own recognition system. But there's kind of an increase and a renewed interest in donations in other ways. So we have, if you see the digital screen at either the main desk when you come in to check out or come in the front doors, or the second floor desk, we have rotating slides that recognize all donations, or all donors rather, that gave in 2024 or 2025. And then also we have a print recognition list by year that will have a binder that's down on the special display case under the stairwell. And so there's a binder there. We're gonna have that and just every year add the new years to it, so we'll kind of have a cumulative list moving forward. So just wanted to report back that we had implemented that to recognize folks. We also, Kelly just had a call to art for our exhibit display opportunities in the community room and the conference room. And there's a process for which they go through those applications to select artists to be included in those displays. So that application window just closed, and so we look forward to being able to have those artists featured that are selected later this year. And as we talked about before, our software migration is scheduled to happen on April 16th. They have some impacts that will have on services for staff, and then also what happens for patrons and how that works while they switch over. Our staff starts training on Tuesday is the first training that we'll be attending, so we hope that that'll help kind of get us better prepared. We're allowed to send 2 or 3 people from our library to each training for each different part of the software. So like the part that we use to help patrons, the part that we use to add magazines. And so those folks will be responsible for helping share that information with the rest of our staff, which is no small job. The election is also on Tuesday, and of course the library is a polling location. I believe there'll be 4 elections at the library and other village polling places in 2026. There are also 3 village trustee seats up for election in April, and they'll be able to vote for, residents will be able to vote for 3. So there's 3 candidates for those seats. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions for Jennifer? No? Thank you, Jennifer.
I should mention the replacement projector that you approved previously for the Creative Space projector that was broken has been installed and is working wonderfully, so.
Great.
Nice.
And we will miss Monica, but we wish her well.
Yes.
All right, moving on to upcoming library events.
Just wanted to make sure you saw the wonderful things going on. There's a program tomorrow night that there was still registration open for earlier today, the Winter Sowing Native Plants. So if you're interested in that, you can probably still register for that. But as always, lots of different things going on. The Ho-Chunk Nation exhibit is in the community room. Oh, we just missed it, sorry. I was hoping we could give you one last plug for that, but we just missed the end of it, so sorry about that.
Thank you. Personnel committee reports. I don't think we have
I don't think we
anything
have
new.
anything.
Moving on to village board announcements, I think Jennifer covered those in her update. So any school district announcements?
Well, since the last time I've been here, we have hired a wonderful new superintendent who will start on July 1st, Dr. Shannon Anderson. Currently a colleague, and so happy that she will be assuming that role this summer. Super excited about that, and I think that's our really big news.
That is really big news. Thank you. Moving on to discussion and possible action items. Appoint a committee to explore the gazebo or outdoor structure related to the potential donation.
So at the last meeting, we discussed the possibility of a donor who wanted to make a generous donation to the library for the restricted or very specific purpose of a gazebo or an outside structure. And the library board expressed interest in exploring that possibility further and asked that we establish a committee to be able to do that exploration work to help things move along a little faster outside of a regular timeline. So I guess we would need to do that.
So I would open up the floor to either nominate or self-nominate. 3 members, I'm assuming, for a committee, unless others have specifics in mind.
I don't know if we have any specific requirement, but 3's fine.
I would think 3 would, or 2 or 3, right?
It's a committee of one. If it's a committee of one, I vote it's just you. I would nominate Jenny.
Second.
Sorry, Jenny. This is what happens when you say things like, well, we recently.
It's fair, I get it.
You have the experience and the knowledge.
I would love to be a part
Makes
of this.
sense.
So should we have just one motion nominating all committee members, or do we need one motion per committee member?
We're asking the wrong gal.
John?
You can nominate a slate.
Okay,
There we go.
so we have 1. Anyone else willing to volunteer for them?
Hey, John.
I'm gonna pretend the timeline is post my tenure, otherwise I
We can call you for a resource.
What do we expect the time commitment need to be?
I don't know that it'll be a lot. I mean, it's probably most of it'll be email, just asking some questions and trying to.
I'm willing to serve on the committee. My schedule gets a little.
I just want to clarify the emails, we can't do emailing between committee members, like any discussion committee has about
It has to
the
be in
project has to
person.
be in a publicly posted meeting that we would have to notice at least 24 hours in advance.
Okay.
But a committee member could be emailing, when she
I
said
was
emailing,
thinking
she
the
means emailing the
village.
village or
The
doing
out
work like
stuff,
that,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I just want to make sure, so I don't get a call tomorrow that I'm in trouble.
Thank you
On the
for-
record.
Thank you for putting that out. That's a really critical component.
Yep.
Good, then I nominate Coral since you said you were.
Anyone else interested?
I don't think we can be a committee of 2 guys.
I'd be happy to also participate.
Oh, look at us. Okay.
Good, consider yourself nominated.
You're doing all the nominating.
I'll just do it.
You're doing the heavy lifting here, really.
So Laura, would you like to give us our motion?
Yes, I move that we nominate Laura Stata, Jenny Nelson, and Coral Goblin to the gazebo outside structure committee.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
And thank you for volunteering.
Couldn't have done it without you.
So we can schedule a meeting, like an initial meeting of the committee outside of this meeting tonight to kind of.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll schedule just a separate meeting for whatever the
Okay.
committee wants to talk about. We just need to make sure whatever you plan to talk about is noticed inclusively enough to be,
Sure.
so anybody wishes to hear the conversation can show.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's see.
And I would also, if I may,
Yeah.
possibly recommend that when you make the committee meetings, the individual who clearly is donating the funds might appreciate an invitation to know about that. Essentially.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet.
All right, so thank you and stay tuned, more to come on potential gazebo or outdoor structure.
With the
Moving.
new policies at the plan commission, we can make it into a house, so.
Oh.
No more than 1,200 square feet.
No more than 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a big conversation last time.
I'm glad you know these things. Moving on to amending the outer library loan policy.
Our circulation supervisor, Alicia Fisher, reviewed and made some changes to our outer library loan policy. The main changes that we're not going to be pursuing items that are only available for loan through the Library of Congress, just because there's very specific stipulations about how you have to return those, and they can only be used in the library, both of which are time intensive for staff, and patrons don't quite understand because it's very different from anything else we can receive. Everything else is kind of cleaning things up to be more consistent with other policies that we have. So I would recommend approval unless there's anything else you wish to change.
I would make a motion that we approve the changes.
Thank you, Coral. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, and thank you to Alicia's expertise there. Moving on to the Department of Public Instruction's annual report.
Again, I think this is just very general, either factual information or many of the statistics that you've seen earlier in the format that's required by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. This is something every library is required to file every year. We did, I don't have the pages bookmarked, that's delightful. We went through a lot of these. I'm happy to answer any questions you have in this specific statistic. For the most part, they match how you would see our statistics on our monthly graphs, with the exception of one or two where there's very specific rules we follow in a certain way to make sure when they're comparing our numbers to other libraries. And so we have to subtract certain things and add certain things. So there's times where the numbers here might differ from a financial report or a statistics, and that is why. It's not that we're making things up. We're just following the rules to a T. The other thing that it's important to note is that this isn't a financial, this isn't an accounting document, it's just, kind of reporting things in a very specific way. Our main funding source, of course, is a village, and you see we also get reimbursement, as you know, from Dane County and then also adjacent counties. So this is just reporting the funds that we received in 2025. And then there's certain other funds that we receive that we need to report out because they come from or from state funds or federal sources, including our E-rate reimbursement and our some grants we get through the South Central Library System.
Do we require a motion to approve this report?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to make that motion when you're ready.
I can be ready whenever you are, but I'm happy to answer questions you might have.
So moved.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead. Thanks, Laura. Any questions, comments?
No, thank you for all the hard work you guys do to put in this, because I know it's time consuming and there's a lot of tracking and the detail is amazing, but it really does show what an amazing library we have, and thank you for all the work you do to do that.
We have a lot of team members doing their own parts to it, so we really appreciate everybody contributing to make it go as smoothly as possible. This is the easiest it's been since I've been here.
That's fantastic. I love to hear that.
Helps not to have capital funds.
So all in favor of approving this annual report for DPI?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, everybody. Moving on to the Department of Public Instruction Statement of System Effectiveness.
So this is the last page of the report, and they just want you to say that our system did or did not provide effective leadership. and meet the needs of our library. And so my recommendation is to say that they did provide. And so I would appreciate your approval of saying that they did provide adequate leadership.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to proposal for professional services for additional solar panels.
So we've been talking about this for a little while. So this is something that we had hoped to do in our original building project, and there just wasn't enough funds because we had to make smart choices about the dollars we had. But we designed the building knowing that we could add additional solar panels in the future when and if we were able to do that. Because we received, the Village of Oregon received the Inflation Reduction Act clean energy incentive payments. We also had that 1-year benchmarking to analyze our energy efficiency for our building and our solar production, how much energy the library generates from our current solar, and then the return on investment for adding additional solar. And after those discussions, our board said, yes, let's discuss with the village whether we could financially pursue that using the IRA funds. And the village board agreed, included $135,000 in their 2026 capital improvement plan for the purposes of expanding the library solar installation. So we got a proposal from OPN Architects. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is that OPN and their engineers are the ones who designed the solar here, so they're already very familiar with design, and so adding it's kind of an extension of what we already have. The inverter, I believe, was sized accordingly, so they're very well positioned to very effectively and strategically add those in that respect. Also, we have 179D agreement that the village has with OPN because OPN was able to claim some tax credits that the Village of Oregon was not eligible for related to the energy efficiency design of the library. So because the village wasn't eligible, they could transfer those credits to OPN so OPN could claim those on their taxes. And in exchange for that, they did a memorandum of understanding with the Village of Oregon saying in exchange for you giving us these tax credits that you couldn't claim anyway, we're gonna give you up to $15,000 in in-kind services. So you'll see the proposal that OPN has here is for basically design, the bid, the building, the construction administration, their services. I guess they're not doing the actual installation. But for all the services that they and their team would have for the solar panels, and then it applies that $15,000 credit that the Village of Oregon has with them that must be used by the end of this year, which is kind of why the timeline is kind of important. So to move forward with it, we would need your approval of the OPN proposal. And then similarly, there's another agenda item we requested on the village board meeting. Assuming you approve this, they would need to grant approval for the library board to use that $15,000 credit because technically the agreement is between them and OPN. It was always kind of engineered, it was for library, the credit was received for the library project, and because we caught, it was for the library, so it was kind of understood that it would be logical to be able to use it for the library. So I don't anticipate any hesitation in doing that, but they do need to approve allowing us to use that credit for that reason. What questions do you have?
What can we expect for cost savings in our power usage?
I don't have that report in front of me. I can't remember, but we do have it, so I could put it in your packet for next month if you'd like to see it. I don't recall the numbers.
What's the length of time it would take to recoup the initial investment based upon our savings?
I believe it was 18 years if there was no incentives, because whether or not we can get the Inflation Reduction Act incentives again this year, the rules have changed as of the end of the year. So if we were, the time the report was done, they thought we could maybe get the incentives still, and then it was calculated 12 years return on investment where we would make it due. Focus on Energy has since changed their incentives, increased their per kilowatt hour incentive for businesses to kind of compensate for it. But I'm not sure whether or not we would get any incentives or not. So between 12 and 18 years is what I understand.
And so speaking of incentives, what would incentivize our board to approve this? What would be the
So there's two.
benefit?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's two main things. First, it would allow our building to be more sustainable. So I believe, I'm really hoping like around, if we added more solar panels, they projected that we would use about 69% of our energy would be from solar energy that we generated. So it offset 69% of our building load.
It says
Do you have
59% in your.
59%,
And we're
sorry.
at 34 right now.
Thank you. 59%, I overspoke there, thank you. I knew I saw that number somewhere, thank you. So that is good, just in terms of being sustainable and responsible. The other piece is, anytime we have it beyond that return on investment point is money that we're saving the village. And so doing it at a time when our roof is brand new allows us to kind of get the optimal time out of that system, generate for as long as we can.
What's the reasonable lifespan of these solar panels?
I can't say I know that for
I
sure.
apologize.
Oh, you don't apologize, I just don't know.
Okay.
It used to be like 20 to 25 years, but with the new panels and things, like,
Could be longer.
could be longer. Nobody honestly knows at this point
We haven't
because it's
had it
really,
enforced that long, so how can we know?
so
Thank
that's
you.
kind of.
Okay.
John AI says 25 to 35 years, so. There you go.
I'm gonna start Jenny AI.
Well,
You could do it.
thank you, Dr. Bergstrom. We're going to miss you, by the way, Dr. Bergstrom.
You can all Google.
And I
So,
think,
no, you go ahead. I was gonna ask a question about logistics, not.
and I was just gonna say, the other thing was when we first designed the building, we had planned to have the panels. It was just because we wanted to make sure we were within budget and doing the things within the library that we wanted. That's why we designed the system to be expanded. We put the infrastructure in to expand it, and this would just be that actual kind of final step to what we had initially wanted to begin with, if that helps.
Okay, you brought up a subject, financial burden. If we approve this, will we be placing our library in a significant financial burden to do this?
No, we were able to use the credits that we got from our first array as well as the geothermal.
Okay.
And that's most of what's gonna pay for a good majority of it.
Oh, really?
It's
Okay.
not really adding,
Yeah, so we got $535,000 in credits from our solar and geothermal installation. And so it's only $135,000 of that to buy more. So basically using the rebate to get more.
It sounds like it makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Do we have a motion on the
I
table?
think Coral had one.
Yeah, I was going to ask, well, my question was about a motion, like, do I need to make a motion, and does that motion need to include going to the village board, or is that kind of, so, I see here that the library board action is, essentially a motion to proceed with the addition of solar capacity at the new library.
So like,
Assuming that we get the village board's approval of using that $15,000 credit?
I would say that that would be a fair way to do it, because
Okay.
if they don't approve use of the credit, the cost
Then-
would go up $15,000,
and
and
then
whether
we'd
you
have to
want to
talk.
proceed with that may change.
Okay.
So I guess I would do it contingent upon approval,
That-
and then if you want
There
to
was a word
direct,
for it.
if it doesn't get
That
approved.
Can we put a rider on the motion indicating that even if they don't approve it, we can proceed? Is that the thing or not?
I think if it doesn't proceed, we would have to talk about, like,
Where the funding.
we'd
for
have
the
to talk about how the
$15,000.
funding for that additional comes about.
Okay, that makes sense. I got it.
So yeah, that's Laura, I'm sure you got all that.
She would like to make Laura's motion.
I'd like to make whatever Laura said that makes me sound smart. That'd be great.
Thanks, Coral.
You're
And Laura.
welcome. I knew the word contingent and everything.
Is there a second? John, thank you. Any further discussion, concerns, questions?
Do you need anyone to go with you to the village board for this?
No,
It's pretty calm and quiet. Okay.
thanks for offering that.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Oh, wow. So we have approached the closing and future agendas. So our next meeting will be held Wednesday, March 11th, here in the public library at 5:15 PM. Are there any requests for agenda items?
Can I ask, so we had, public comment last time around with a specific request around parking. Do we need to address that as a board and make a response there, or is that something that we don't need to respond to as a board?
It's entirely up to you as a board. We don't have to, it's up to the board whether to add or not add a particular item to your agenda. It certainly would be appropriate if you wish to discuss that item and provide a response. But also there's no legal requirement for you to discuss or respond to every public comment that a public board might get.
That's probably good. I guess my big feelings were whether or not we had an obligation there, not necessarily one way or the other on that particular item. I don't think it is as pressing as other work that we have kind of in front of us there. So I would maybe recommend that we put our focus into the big effort of the gazebo in terms of our wider site for now. But I don't want us to forget it. It's more of, we have put it on the back burner, put it on the backlog.
Thanks, Coral. Thank you. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Laura. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.